Good morning. This is KHEA Radio. It's Clear Life Combat. My name is Gardy. I'm excited because I have Roberto Jimenez who is zooming in. He's in the Houston area, and I'm excited to get a chance to talk to him. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just getting the day started. Good to be here.
Yes, sir.
Talking.
So there are some stuff that's going on this evening. So first things first, I think there's a seminar that you're going to be doing in the Houston area. What do you have going on?
Yeah, tonight, 6:30 p.m. at Next Level Training Center, I'll be teaching a workshop. Just helping out the guys at Tommy Alderate. I know Tommy since I'm a kid. We used to do the 6 a.m. class like every day, and it's good to be, you know, give back to someone that helped me out a lot in my build up in my training as as a juvenile and as a kid. So I'm gonna be helping out the fighters there tonight and sharing my knowledge that I've built up up to now, and wishing them all good luck.
What kind of stuff are y'all going to be focusing on?
Some MMA oriented no-gi style, or techniques more that with the focus of an MMA fight, kind of just flowing through. I'm gonna see what everybody's working on, kind of help like each of the fighters, and then show something in general that everybody can apply to their game.
Yeah, whenever you are working with people and you see their body type, you kind of say like, "Hey, maybe this is the best way for you to achieve that goal, or try this a little bit differently."
That's right. Everybody learns differently, and even if I show my favorite technique, let's say a back take from this position, back take from, I don't know, top de la Riva. The way I show it, I can only show you how. I can only take you so far to the door. Well, it's up to you to walk past that door, and then once you walk past that door, it's like you choose the path you choose. You decide. You decide what path to choose. So like, in a sense, is everybody expresses themselves differently. So I can learn the technique, and I grasp the concept. That's all I need, really. That's all I'm trying to share. The concept of the technique of like how to take the back from this situation. Because from there, everybody want to change the technique up, and you know, that's something I learned when I was younger. Like being at peace with that. Like I don't have to copy Bouchech's technique to like step by step. I don't have to copy Bruno Malfacini's movements, or this berimbolo, or that takedown. At the end of the day, is finding inspiration from that move. Finding respect from as well, and that person doing that move, and then just going forward, and how can I make that my own with respect? Because if I try to copy it step by step, it's kind of like I don't want to really copy anyone. I want to like inspiration and creativity go hand in hand. I'm inspired by something or someone doing something. If I can, do something similar, but it's completely different, then that's creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm finding. That's what I'm looking to apply and share as well.
Where do you look for to get inspired? And that's not just necessarily in MMA or jiu-jitsu, but just in anything. What inspires you?
Well, nowadays I've been really touching back on history. Um, you know, I'm from Ecuador, but I was born here in the U.S. in Florida in Pine Brook Pines, and I grew up in Houston. I grew up in Ecuador as a child. I was raised in Ecuador as a youngling, like 9 through 17 years old. I was here in Houston, and then after that, Vegas, but then really just cruising through the world up until now, like a couple months here, a couple weeks there. So what I really like collected knowledge of is like trying to learn about ancient warriors, and really kind of like fitting into that. Yeah, I find inspiration from Bruce Lee, for example. He's an OG, a martial artist that opened up a lot of doors for martial arts in general, mixing up jiu-jitsu and kung fu and judo and wrestling, making jeet kune do. But what I really like found a lot of respect in that he was able to do that. He started off as a actor,
Mm-hmm.
and took his knowledge from acting to martial arts, and then combined both. And doing that, that's how I feel whenever I go, because I'm not a violent nor aggressive person. So I gotta really like work the mind. I gotta work the brain more than anything else. And then if I can conquer something in my mind, then I can do it physically, and that just goes hand in hand. So looking at that, I kind of go into my shoes. I kind of fit like a role in my head. I go into like a my scenario where I'm like a warrior, ancient times, and I'm defending my tribe. Because, for example, in Ecuador, we have the story of Rumiñahui, who was like the last warrior. There was a moment where all like and I just learned this. There was a moment where all the warriors and all the leaders in Ecuador were like kneeling down to a volcano because it was erupting, and they took that as a sign from God or from the gods back then. And and Rumiñahui was like, "Nah, get up. We got to fight. Like they're trying to colonize us. They're trying to rape us. They're trying to take our children." And he was just straightforward. And that he was the last man standing. Like out of everybody, all the warriors, all the leaders, he was the last man standing, Rumiñahui. And before he got, he chose freedom over bondage. So at the end of the day, he was with his family. There's even a statue in Guayaquil where he like, the statue of him with his family. But what happened was he sacrificed his wife and his child, then he killed himself because he knew that if they got conquered, his wife was going to get raped and his child was going to be corrupted into a way of life that's not their ancestors. So I fit into those, like, I like learning about my ancestry from that, my true roots, because I can feel that whenever I'm fighting. I can feel like the people from Ecuador are really sending me energy, not only Ecuador, but throughout all South America and even past that, throughout the whole world. Like anyone who can recognize that or resonate with that I'm trying to share and express on the mat, I can feel them, like like the spirit bomb. I feel them throwing the energy towards me, and I feel like my own Saiyan, like Saiyajin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been finding inspiration from a lot, just learning from past and going all the way back, not so far back, like maybe less than 100 years, because there's people that really helped out the sport, like I said, Bruce Lee, Rolls Gracie, Rickson, even out of respect, I won't mention the names because I don't know the names, but the Japanese wave that came to Brazil before there was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So that's all part of the creation of what is Jiu-Jitsu nowadays.
So you mentioned not being a naturally, a violent person and just finding that inspiration. And I guess it's a mindset thing. Do you think that anybody can achieve that mindset so that way they can maybe achieve the goals they have in jiu-jitsu or just in anything?
Most definitely. Somebody, I saw this picture not like maybe like a day ago that, and I experienced this. It's like the first step to being able to control what you do is being able to control what you eat, because then that goes hand in hand with what you think. They say that the brain is like the second brain is the stomach. That's like that's a fact, because the second largest organ connected to the nervous system is the stomach. The first is the brain. And I feel like there's exceptions with certain people, but at the end of the day, I know where I'm coming from and I know how I am. And for me, it's like the more I clean my nutrition up to perform, that's kind of like where it might be because of that, because I'm not violent or that aggressive, but I feel like more so, like more able to like express myself, like the fire whenever I'm, I don't eat animals nowadays, and I don't know why, but I feel more in touch with like the fire. I feel calm, more calm than I was before. But yeah, for anyone out there, it's just really noticing all the details of your life. Like I also, anything that happens in my personal life, I really like hold it in and express it whenever I'm on the mat. So somebody asked me in Brazil, like, "You look angry." I'm like, "No, I'm happy right now. This is what I love to do. I'm living right now. This is my party. I don't go out and drink or do any shit like that." So at the events when I'm fighting, I'll be dancing and singing, and that's just my way of expressing, like, feeling good right before I go on the mat. And also having a balance of that, because I've learned in the past, like, doing that can allow like emotions to come in, You don't want I don't want to have any I'm not looking to have any emotions take over my actions, especially in the moment where I'm visualizing that, it's life or death at this moment, and I want to go back and see my family. So it is what it is. A fight's a fight, and
You
I go in and can't have any emotions. Oh, 2 points down or 2 points up. That's fine. Nobody's submitted each other, so keep fighting.
mhm.
Oh, you got your leg wrapped up, or they're almost on your back. That's fine. Nothing's happened. Keep fighting. Just fight's a fight to the end. I'm not gonna let nobody take my life so that I can't go see my family. And
Mhm.
that's just how it is.
You mentioned not eating animals. I guess what does your nutrition and diet look like, and what all went into that thought process to make that? Was that a hard decision to make, or was it something I want to try, and how long you want to do it?
So like, I remember when I was younger, like 14, 13, I saw uh, Francisco Iturralde from Ecuador. Uh, he came to the house one time. We were doing like Abu Dhabi trials, and he mentioned that he was doing like a vegetarian. He was starting to eat like vegetarian style, and I was like, huh. And he was strong, man. Like I was a kid, as like juvenile, uh, teenager, but I could feel when somebody was like strong or not, with technique or not, and it felt like a lot more. It felt smoother, the movements with the strength, compared to someone like was eating meat that was more explosive. And I always liked like the mix of explosiveness and smoothness and jujitsu, like kind of like catching a wave, like
Hmm.
you got to hop on fast and then ride it out, and then you can do the curves and everything, the tricks. Um, so it was back then, like that was the first exposure that I had to like plant-based nutrition. And then in 2019, 2020, no, 2019, I started like noticing there's a lot of athletes worldwide applying this like plant-based nutrition, like vegan and vegetarian. And I said, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. But at the beginning, when I started the vegan, I felt very weak because potatoes are vegan, rice is vegan, beans and Oreos are vegan, but really those are dead foods. Like they have no nutritional value. Nor like rice is just like dead weight. It's good to put on weight, mass, but it's not. I'd rather be 175 pounds of lean muscle than 195 pounds of somewhat muscle and a lot of like mass build up weight, because that's hard to move. And if I can get to 175 in lean muscle, then I could probably get to 195 in lean muscle as well over time. It just makes logical sense doing it right. So that was my step. Like at first I tried vegan and I was like, oh, this don't feel right. And then I started studying a little bit, and a homie back in New York mentioned to me like, oh, you should really look, if you're interested in that plant-based nutrition, you should really look into like alkaline foods like Dr. Sebi, study up on Dr. Sebi. And I did that, and I learned, his life story alone is a cool story, is very inspiring. But then what he would say would make a lot, like I could feel that he was speaking truth. He wasn't just trying to hype something up and sell you this thing or that thing. Like he was talking about how he would find this herb and these plants, and let's say they're in California. He's literally sharing the knowledge of like you could either get it from his product, which is he's just collecting it and having it at hand, or you could go to the place and look for it and scavenge for it, and it's not even that far. And I know this is true because in Ecuador, there's like, for example, there's this plant called San Pedro. It's a cactus, and it grows everywhere. But maybe less than, I don't know, maybe less, maybe even more so than less 50% of the population know what that cactus is. And it's one of our ancestors, like it's an ancestral medicine. It's been around for thousands of years in our ancestors' lives. So I connected those two dots and I was like, huh, this is interesting. I'm gonna give it a shot. And it's even more hard, it's even more so like difficult to be consistent with that alkaline nutrition. But the results is it's just like when you're preparing for a camp. You know, I'm preparing for the fight. It's difficult to wake up at 3, 4, 5 a.m. It's difficult to get in like 4 to 5 trainings a day, working out, stretching, uh, doing teaching classes, and then add a new discipline of nutrition to that. To me, it was just like I like a challenge, so I said, let's do it. And it's been a process of like 2 years to get to the point where I'm not eating animals. So like I've had like only a couple months, maybe right over 5 months, not eating animals, and I got my ups and downs. You know, I wasn't born into this. I've been like applying it as much as I can. I'm only human, so every time I go and take like a step back, I notice my body. Like before, like a year ago, I would take a step back. I would win a fight, and then I would have like, oh, for tonight I'm gonna have steak and chicken and fish and a milkshake and ice cream, and then I just feel like shit, and
Yeah.
it would just put into perspective like this is not worth it. I'd rather just keep eating. Like I'd rather even fast if there's not any food that I can consume, or even like eat, feed myself. Like if there's no good alkaline foods that I can eat, then I'd rather just fast. And that also feels really good. It helps to clean the mind, to like really think and reflect on things from the past and the present that affects the future. So nowadays, like for example, after ADCC trials, I had like a good week of just I weighed in 165 for the ADCC trials in Brazil, which is 75 kilos. And within a week of my cheat meal for that was like bread and cheese. Like I would have bread, cheese, and acai, and I'd still be eating like a lot of fruit and making my teas. But just from that step, I went up to 190 in the week, and that just put into perspective. And I felt like a heavy 190, and I can digest well like cheese because I have European blood, but I because of my native side as well, I can feel them like battling each other. Like, what do you, you got to choose one. Like, what are you going to be eating? And I'm honestly like, it tastes good in the moment, but it doesn't feel good for the next like week or so. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth it anymore to like really take those. Like I said, I'm only human, so I know only I know how pure my process is and my progress is to getting to where I want to be. But I feel like if anybody's interested in those kind of things, and I'm not trying to like convert anyone to anything, everybody has the right to live how they want to. But if I can share my experience and in this journey of nutrition, and that can help somebody, then cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a nutritionist that I talk to, and he always says what you eat is important, but what you don't eat is more important. And but what you talked about, cutting some of those things that are vegan, potatoes and rice, out of your diet, what do you replace them with? We talked earlier. You said, "Hey, I had some breakfast today." Even on the road, like you were out in Brazil competing in the trials over there. Like, what does a breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like while you're out traveling? And is that hard to find and maintain on the road?
Nah, not at first it was because I didn't know what I was doing. But as I kept studying, just like jujitsu, I'm not gonna go in and I only have one move. Like, no, I gotta be to be a world champion. I gotta be world rounded. I gotta know how to play guard. I gotta know how to pass. I gotta know how to take down, defend takedowns, back take, defend back takes, all the submissions. So it's the same nowadays. Like Brazil was real easy, to be honest. I just um I would just have, all right, this morning, for example, I woke up. I first thing I had was a warm cup of water with key limes, because you want to find fruit that has seeds, like seedless grapes or any lime, like those big old limes that don't have seeds. It's how do they grow? A
Right.
plant needs a seed to be able to grow. That's the first like logical step. So some key limes. In Texas, it's easy. We got all the produce coming in from Mexico, and Texas also is like very fertile. Key limes with warm water. Then I got a workout in. After the workout, I cut up a mango, some blueberries, and a plum, and that's breakfast. And then the rest of until I eat again, I'm just gonna keep drinking my gallon of water. Get some fruit in like raspberries and some guava. Because right now I'm trying to eat more like fruits that are gonna be able to clean my colon. And guava is good to like really push everything out. Because we hold like 15 to 20 pounds of you know dead weight in our colon prior to like even trying to eat, even during like a good nutrition. That's what fasting is for. You give your body a break. Like you can't train 5 times a day every day. You know, it you got to have a day where you rest and take it down a little bit so you can come back up harder. So it's the same thing with the digestive system. In Brazil, I was drinking water, um, eating fruit. Fruit over there is way cheaper and uh, fresh as well. Is way more fresh, to be honest, because it doesn't have to be shipped in. And if it is shipped in, it's like no more than an hour away or so. Because there's fruit everywhere. The same in Ecuador. Ecuador, the fruit like 3 mangoes is like $1.50. You know, so on the big meals, like last night, I cooked up chickpeas with, I put some salt, cayenne pepper, oregano while it was boiling. And then I made like a homemade tomato sauce. So I just put tomatoes in the blender, do some salt and cayenne pepper, grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil and avocado oil is the best to cook with because of the boiling point. Your carcinogenics don't affect the body at that point. Coconut oil and olive oil is better to use it raw. If you're cooking with it, then you're getting it to the carcinogenic point where it's affecting the body. But yeah, I cooked that tomato sauce with the chickpeas, and that was dinner. That I ate like 3 bowls of that, and I was full. It tastes really good, man. It reminds me of like a mix of like a stroganoff and vodka sauce with chickpeas. I love chickpeas, and chickpeas is really good they're good for digestion. It's full of potassium, calcium, I think zinc. I'm not sure, but I know it's got iron. And I don't really look at protein anymore. I know if I'm eating, like if I eat a bowl of chickpeas right after I work out, that's equivalent to eating, I don't know, a steak or quinoa. Quinoa is some quinoa, depending on the amount, has more protein than steak. And like I said, I don't look at protein no more. So I look at foods like walnuts, walnuts and hemp seeds with tahini butter, which is sesame butter. And let's say a mango right after working out. If you're trying to build mass, that's really good to build mass. And it's a natural post-workout meal.
Do you supplement any kind of protein or anything at all, or just mainly food?
I just drink herbs and like I just drink plants like teas. I drink herbal teas like salsa de parilla, which is full of iron that helps to clean the blood, and sea moss. I've been drinking sea moss. I feel it right now. I feel the difference whenever I don't have sea moss on me. It's just sea moss has 92 of the 102 minerals that the body's composed of. And if you mix sea moss with watercress and bladderwrack, then you got all 102 minerals that the body's composed of. There's a company out in Brooklyn that I'd be getting the supplements from, which is just plants, really. That's the supplements. And I think it's a couple in Brooklyn. They make like this powder. They grind all the herbs together. You put that in the smoothie, a fruit smoothie, and forget about protein. You got all the minerals that the body's composed of right there. You got food for the brain. You got you're cleansing the blood. You're strengthening the bones, the joints, the ligaments. This is all like lubricant for the body. And that with like, you know. Um, I used to smoke a lot, like a lot of herb, a lot of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I smoked a little bit right after fighting, but just the same way I had bread and cheese. But I don't like, I don't know, to perform at a higher level, I just feel better not depending on something. I don't like no caffeine, no stimulants. Like the farthest I'll go is like a microdose on a mushroom, but even then, like I won't go past like maybe a day or two if I'm feeling like really just down and I don't know, just drained. I believe that there's a lot of plants that can help. They don't gotta be stimulants. It could just be, the effects of, you know, the chemical reaction of the body with that plant just has a positive effect on the overall, like the brain, the physical, and the it goes into the spiritual is wild, man. But like, yeah, those herbs are my only supplement that I take as an athlete, and I'm feeling good. I know I can go up to a high weight, a lightweight, and then anything in between.
I would say that, or let me hear your thoughts on this. Is that normal in the sport? You know what you're doing.
No, I haven't heard or met anyone that's doing what I'm doing, and you know, I don't really like. I used to put people on the pedestal, and I think that's like a common thing in jiu-jitsu because it's like a sport that you get to meet your idols. And at the end of the day, I found that we're all just human. So um, I find inspiration more from musicians and like Dr. Sebi is an inspiration for me because of what he was able to do and help so many people. Bruce Lee, Bob Marley, Nipsey Hussle. Those are the people that I like. Oh, I see what they did, and that's bigger than just like winning titles or getting money. They're really building. It's people that built something and left a lineage, like not even a lineage, but left a footprint on the earth. How many people still listen to Bob Marley and feel
Right.
like a child that listens to a Bob Marley song, like a baby will feel a certain type of way. It's like it's even beautiful to see the reaction of a baby listening to certain music, and that was like in the 70s and the 80s. And for that reaction to still happen now, and that's gonna happen for hundreds of years, in my opinion. Just like there was music with Beethoven that still is listening to now. I feel like that's the same, that's the equivalent, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like when I found out that Nips or that Bob Marley was taking care of was almost like an arc for 2,000 people to be able to survive in Jamaica, like helping them with however he could. That put into perspective, like, wow, I don't know, you don't gotta share that, but just having people share that what somebody did, I thought was like, whoa, that's bigger than just being a world champion or having 100 academies. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is the long term. Like I like the term of what Nipsey Hussle says, like the marathon. And that's how I feel. Like, I gotta like think long term. Kobe Bryant said that as well. He would think of like 5-10 years ahead because he realized like he realized he was at peace with his build up and his come up, like being from a different place and living in a different place and having like a lack of experience and everyone else that he was around. So all right, I got to train more, and I resonate with that. And also like Nipsey Hussle, like going back into his community and building everything and buying like the land, like all the real estate, like all these things put into perspective kind of changed my point of view because nutrition and how I'm living life nowadays, just even my training overall is I know for a fact no one else is doing what I'm doing. And uh yeah, I'm also not really interested in knowing what anyone else is doing because everybody has the right to live their life, and I got my life to live, and I'm focused on that. So yeah, I have a strong feeling that no one else is doing what I'm doing. If they're trying to do it, then they're not doing it like I am.
Is that a goal for you? You mentioned, Bob Marley, Nipsey Hussle, Kobe Bryant. Is that a goal for you to inspire those generations to come and to leave your mark?
Yeah, man. I feel like that's the. I remember seeing Nipsey reading a quote, and the quote was that the highest form of human expression is inspiration. So if I can if I can contribute to that, um, then I feel like I'm doing what I'm here to do. I'm doing that with what I love to do. So, I feel like I'm doing things right. Um, yeah, because outside of Brazil, Ecuador is probably like the only place that I know that people either do jujitsu or surf, or no, that would be cool, jujitsu surf. But people either play football, like soccer, football, or jujitsu. And I only know Brazil and South America that's at that level. Uh, so I feel like because Ecuador is, there's just a little divide because of the Brazil was colonized by Portuguese, and the rest of South America and even Central America was colonized by Spanish. Just because of that little detail, I've been able to connect with a lot of people from like Colombia, Peru, and it's the same. Once I was in Brazil, I realized that there's a lot of people from all over South America in Brazil because of jiu-jitsu, learning the culture and learning the language and learning the art coming from Brazil. But at the end of the day, it really depends on like who I'm surrounded with, and that can be anywhere in the world as long as it's like good people. And I know it's people that are genuinely like, they're interested in just not interested for ulterior reasons or intentions. They're genuinely there like, oh, I've been in your shoes. I've been like alone in a different country, and that's the cool part about jiu-jitsu, that there you get to meet a lot of genuine people. But in life overall, you get to meet a lot of genuine people and a lot of people that want to take advantage of like a good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just being like wise and you know being aware of things as well. But I want to just show that uh I was born in the US, I was raised in Ecuador, and I grew up in the US. And then I've been able to see the world at a young age. So I just want to show that anything is really possible for anyone. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, where you grew up, where you were raised, what skin color you are, what like your face looks like, what it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's gonna what shows is what you did, what how you prepared, your intention behind the tide behind the fight, because the title doesn't even matter, it's the fight. If you're doing this martial art or just martial arts overall, then it's gonna be the intention behind it. I heard that in Thailand they won't teach certain foreigners if they don't feel like they got heart, if they don't have that heart, that they're willing to just live out of the art. They won't teach you because they're gonna be wasting their time. And that's how I feel. I really feel like it. That's what I want to like aspire and inspire for other people. Just if you love this, you really gotta go in and give it all you got. Like broke or not, rich or not, is this is what you're doing, and you're gonna aspire to get to the highest level. And with that, everything else comes. If obviously if I'm fighting and I'm already at that pure level, whatever the purse is gonna be irrelevant because I'm there for the fight. So everything else comes with time.
You talk about, yeah, about the fight, and I've seen you accept some fights and some matches where there's a big difference in weight class or even experience, I guess. But what's your mindset going into that? Are you willing to take on anybody?
Yeah, nowadays I feel like my first year as a black belt in 2020, I kind of did that already. I went against everyone and every anybody that I could go against, I went against. I didn't care, and I still feel that way, but kind of like calculating my moves right because I'm 21, and I'm thinking from here to. I mean, look at Israel Adesanya. He went into the UFC at 28, 29. Within a year, he was a UFC champion. But to do that, that was like a thought out plan, you know. And that's what I'm on right now. Just thinking of the long term, 5, 10 years, 15 years. Um, so yeah, I'm willing to fight anyone, but calculating my moves and what event I want to choose to fight in first, because it's a lot of like I said, there's a lot of people that take advantage in not only in jiu-jitsu or martial arts, but just overall in this world. There's some people that would take advantage of somebody that has like pure intentions. They want to live out of this art, this sport, this profession. So they might be blindsided by that love. So that's just part of it as well. So not just rushing into things nowadays. I'm really looking at the long term. So I'm calculating my moves in the sense of, all right, I'm gonna do this, then I'm really preparing for this. That's it. And I know there's something coming up, but just look at MMA preparation. You know, you a real high level UFC fighter or you one championship fighter, they're not fighting every weekend. They're not fighting. They're not even fighting every month. They're fighting like every other month, uh, max. You might have somebody like what I think his name is Kamzat, fought like 3 times in a month or something like that, and that's, you know, as a fighter, you take everything into consideration: the level of the fighter, the timing, how much preparation was behind that month of fights. You know, if I haven't fought in like 6 months, oh man, I'm ready to. If I got 3 fights aligned set up, then let's go. Um, but it's a different point of view as well because that's MMA. We're talking about jiu-jitsu right now, and in jiu-jitsu, you don't got a set season nowadays. We got like throughout the year, we might have like more than 10 events that pay 10K, and then apart from that, you got the Grand Slam from IBJJF, which is Brazil, Europeans, Brazilian nationals, Pan Ams, and Worlds. Then you got that in gi and no gi. Then you got the ADCC and the ADCC trials if you got to make the trials, and everything in between. You got to make points to be able to compete in the Grand Slam tournament. So it's just taking those things into consideration and like being, you know, using our brain. I'm using my brain to like be able to build a journey that will be able to inspire and something that I'll be satisfied with as well. So yeah, that's where I'm aiming at. And with the fights as well, any fighter out there, you got to be considerate of your 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 self worth. You know, uh, yeah.
What's a
Don't
what's a
Yesterday's price is not today's price. That's the main thing.
yeah.
And business is outside of the art. And that's as well. Like, you know, I got my family time, I got my training time, I got my teaching time, I got business time, and I got professional time, and I got performance time. So it's like having set boundaries on those things, having respect of each one.
I want to ask, what's it like making a living, you know, in the sport? And is it starting to increase as the sport becomes more popular?
Well, it's definite. I believe within, I don't, I have a feeling that within the next 5 years is going to be touching UFC, like, you know, MMA money. And that's a big step forward. But at this moment, it's already to the point where, like, if you know how to invest right and you know how to move financially, then yeah, you can make a living. But it's also, you know, jiu-jitsu is based on the nomad lifestyle. And I feel like I've been able to live both, kind of like being in one place and earning some money, and then just not really focused on earning money, just more focused on earning experience and meeting people. And money comes with time. You got to do the actions to get the money. But in this sport, money does come with time. If you're really dedicated to the art, it'll you'll get it. And I think it's important to see both sides, because that's a beautiful thing that jiu-jitsu can give. Like surfing and skating, I feel like are the only other things that can really give that in someone's life, because of that, because of having the connection of, there was a point in time where there was a lack of money, and I had to go anywhere that I could to be able to make, somebody wants to invite me to the other side of the world and pay me this much so that I can teach them. Well, look at the bright side. You're getting paid, you're getting acknowledged for what you're doing, and you get to train. So the only thing is like timing yourself right and being consistent with what you're doing. Don't let your emotions take control of your actions, and then, oh, I'm in a new place, I'm gonna go part of them. No, that's not it. You're not that's not commitment to the art. Is I gotta go farther than that if you're gonna live this life where you get to travel at a young age and have a lot of life experience before what most people are expected to have. 25, 26 is when you get to like travel the world. Now 15, 16 is where you're getting ready to start doing that, like 18, 17, 19. That's our reality in jiu-jitsu, and even younger than that sometimes. So with that, nowadays the financial is getting to a point where like it's gonna be a couple fights will get you enough to buy a house and a car and such. But you gotta look at both sides, because that's the beautiful part of jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is for those people that have able to be living that experience and are living that, it's inexplicable. You're in touch with life. You just got this like feeling of trust that anywhere I got this feeling of trust that anywhere I go, I'll be able to survive and meet somebody that I'll be able to, they'll be able to help me, and whenever I get a chance, I'll be able to help them. It's just like that. That's why it forms like a really cool community. And like I said, there's good and bad from that. There's good intention, and then there's bad intention, and just being aware of that is kind of like the yin yang, and that's a concept that goes like in depth. But at the basic level of what is yin yang is like seeing the good and the bad, and seeing the bad and the good. So just being aware of that, and knowing like how I'm going to react to the situation, if I want to engage in this or not. That's why I'm saying, like, see both sides. It's good to see both sides of, if I have the money to be able to go anywhere, and if I don't have the money, how am I going to be able to go anywhere? Yeah.
So you mentioned ADCC trials in Brazil. How did that go for you? What was the experience like, and what are you looking forward to?
Man, the energy was electric out there. Like in the finals, everybody was like, ooh, 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 ooh. I was like, yeah, I love this energy. So like, it was over 300 fights, and yeah, man, I feel like I've done both the U.S. and the North American trials, better to say. I've done North American trials and South American trials, and I gotta figure something out. What about the people in Central America? Do they go to the north or do they go to the south? You gotta take everybody into consideration. The Caribbean, there's jiu-jitsu out there as well. So I'm just trying to throw a rope for the people out there. But I've done both, and I also know the growth that I've had. I did North American trials in 2018 and 2019, and I was 18 years old for both of those. And I just did a Brazilian, or I did South American trials 2022 at 21 years old. And that's a big gap for me. I've had a lot of growth in those times. That's also the time period in which I've changed my nutrition. I've gone through a lot of life experience that, only God knows what I've gone through, and the people that I've gone through with me. So to me, that's just like I'm on a whole different level than I was when I did the North American trials. So in my head, it don't matter where I am. Like my mission was, I'm gonna get into ADCC, whether that's North American, South American trials. It don't matter. If I get the invite, it doesn't. I don't care. I gotta win the trials. That's what I'm doing. And I won in my head before I did physically in the world. But what I realized was, you know, it's it's a preparation. It's a preparation. Because out there, it's not easy to win the ADCC. I had 6 fights. I could have had 7. I had to buy the first one. And each fight was like I said, it didn't matter. I already know what's gonna be in front of me. It's gonna be wrestling and leg locks and scrambles and strategy for the points and the timing. Before even stepping on the mat, I visualized this for years. Yeah. So to me, it just both trials are difficult. If you see all the champions that won the trials in South America, you put them up against anyone that won the trials in North America, that's gonna be a fight. That's gonna be a scrap, man. Like it's gonna be to the end, like you know.
Yeah.
And a real jiu-jitsu, like a real jiu-jitsu, meaning like somebody who really does jiu-jitsu and is like aware of the art in a competitive sense as well. They're gonna see the 2 champions of each weight class in different parts of the world and say, all right, I want to see that fight, and it's just showing respect to everyone as well. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna see what's gonna happen at the actual ADCC. That's the main thing. I could have won every open, and if it's IBJF, I could have won every open, and I won Pan Ams and I won Europeans. But Worlds comes around, that's the only title that I care for. Everything else is just preparation for that. If I got to win all 4 Brazilian Nationals, Europeans, Pan Ams, and Worlds, that's beautiful. But if I had to choose one out of the 4, I would choose Worlds, just because it's the World Championship, and it's the same with ADCC. The main the focus is ADCC World Champion. That's where everyone will see, what's the deal.
Have you visualized that happening yet?
Since I'm a child, I've been visualizing that. It's just punching the ticket in and respecting the time that it is to the day.
Okay, you talked about the atmosphere during the finals in the Brazilian trials compared to the North American trials. I mean, it's just a different energy or different people, or what? I guess what's the main difference?
So personally, it don't matter where I am. I know what I'm gonna be doing, but it's everybody's excited. Like it's the same thing in North American trials. You got people screaming, but there's more like that wild like energy of like everybody's gonna be screaming at the top of their lungs, and you could feel their energy because the adrenaline from the people watching, the adrenaline from the people fighting, the adrenaline from even the coaches. So how can I like censor that? Not censor that, but like how can I quiet that down? How can I, just zone in and tune that out? That's the main like objective, is not letting those emotions of everyone else control your actions. Because then it's like, oh no, they're screaming towards me. Oh no, they're screaming against me. It don't matter. You can scream, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. I'm fighting right now. I'm not gonna be worried about what the dude over there is saying whenever I'm in the middle of a fight. So that goes for wherever I am, wherever that is, the trials or fight, wherever that is. Now, as a spectator, because I like watching fights as well. I like watching martial arts. So from the spectator point of view, it's just a different energy. Everybody's screaming, everybody's like wild, and that is it's energetic, you know. It's not just like, oh, he won the fight, congrats. No, they're going in. They're really excited for that person to win.
Yeah.
And I felt that, you know, I'm coming from out of the country. I'm Ecuadorian, American. Some people think I'm a gringo. Some people think I'm Brazilian. Some people think they don't know where the fuck I am from. But I'm just from this planet. I'm just from Earth. So at the end of the day, if I can show what I'm about, and I'm gonna show that on the mat, I feel like that just earns respect. It's the same with music. You can be from anywhere, but you're talking real things, and you're representing. Because I represent Ecuador, but I also represent America, which is North, Central, and South America. You know, because my ancestors were all connected. I got ancestors from Mexico. I got ancestors from the mountains of Ecuador, the Inca. I got ancestors from the coast of Ecuador, which is most likely Valdivia. I gotta confirm that with my people, but I even got European ancestry. So I got the person that fucked my shit up, and I got the person who was fighting to defend everything. So, you know, I can speak for everyone, and yeah, man, the energy is different over there. It's just at the end of the day, for anyone who's performing as a performance, I'm performing. I gotta tune everything out and just be in the moment for that fight. And that's the main takeaway. Like what I was doing in between fights was there was this spot, right? You got the entry. Right in the entry, there's just like this little dome. And I saw a little kid trying to climb up it. I said, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go up. I got up and I just, boom, I got on the top of this little dome. And between fights, I would just be catching, I'll be getting sun. Like I'd just be catching sun rays.
Yeah.
And I'd be doing that and, you know, just singing or dancing in between and just sleeping. Because ADCC trials, for those that don't know, you might fight, the first fight might be at 10 a.m. Then the second fight might be like around 12. And the third fight might be around 2 or 1:30. And it's gonna be like that up until like 9 p.m. of the final. So you gotta really be in the moment. So if I'm in the stadium the whole time, if I'm being in that moment, in that environment the whole time, that's exhausting and draining.
Yeah.
So from my experience, I know I want to be where I'm in my zone. I'm not in anyone's, like, I'm not really penetrating anyone's space and they're not penetrating my space. I'm in my space. So I'm out here catching sun. I'll climb up a tree and you know, what the tree breathes out, we breathe in. And what we breathe out, the tree breathes in. So it just makes logical sense. If I'm trying to recharge my energy and I'm about to fight again, I'm gonna just sit next to a tree, catch some energy from the tree. And you know, eat some fruit, drink some water, be considerate of the time. I'm not gonna eat a banana right as soon as I'm stepping on. I don't want to have a banana in the middle of the fight, like throwing up. So as soon as I fight, all right, let me get some food. I gotta find out if I got time to do that as well. I got 2 hours until the next fight. All right, I'm gonna get some food in, some fruits, some water, and just chill, just stay moving. Cause it's tiring to be in the sun all day. So that's why I'll be considerate of like, all right, I'm catching some energy that's recharging me, but just enough to where I'm not overcharged.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you leave the phone charging overnight?
Kills the battery.
Exactly. It recharges the battery at full, but sometimes the phone gets hot, you know, and I don't want to be overheating. So I just get enough that I'm recharged and then I'll cool down. What do animals in the wild do to cool down? They go under a tree for the shade. So I went under the tree, I climbed the tree, and I cooled down for a minute. And it's just doing that back and forth. Because that's fun as well. I'm doing something that I love to do, that I have fun doing, which is fighting, martial arts, displaying my jiu-jitsu. And if it's going to be a long day, I'm going to have a balance of how do I keep doing that outside of the mat. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to catch some sun, climb a tree, and doing that in with respect of each one. I'm not gonna do that all day. I'm not gonna do this all the time. I gotta do this step by step. It's the same thing. I can't just train jujitsu. I'm training jujitsu. I'm training wrestling, Muay Thai, uh, calisthenics, weightlifting, uh, breathing exercises, yoga. I gotta put everything into perspective, visualize what I'm gonna do, because then I'm gonna be more well-rounded than just I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I gotta take consideration of my body as well. How long do I want to do this? Do I want to be a world champion for 5 years and then that's it? No, I want to be a world champion and then push the limits. That's where I'm coming from. I want to be the world champ. I'm gonna be a world champion and push the limits for more than 5 years, for 10 years, or even more so than that. So to do that, I gotta be thinking about what I'm gonna be able, what are the steps needed to do that. Yeah.
You talk about the training and Muay Thai wrestling. What about that transition to MMA?
It's gonna come with the right time. Like I said, right now I'm talking about jiu-jitsu because my journey just started as an adult in jiu-jitsu. So it'd be like if it was Muay Thai. I just prepared for the Lumpini Championship, which is like the World Championship, Lumpini Stadium. I know I've already visualized this for 10 years. But then somebody comes up and says, well, we're going to offer you a fight for $100,000 or for $1 million. And I know I still got a good 5 to 10 years to be able to fight MMA. I'm going to win the Lumpini Championship before I choose the $1 million because it's what I want to do. Because I want to have satisfaction of what I'm doing in this life. So I would not be satisfied with myself if I didn't do anything less than what I have envisioned. And that's simply being a world champion, weight in absolute with the gi, no gi, and win the ADCC weight in absolute as many times as I can. And anything in between that, just fighting the best, like just fighting whoever is considered to be the best and proving who's the best. Not to anyone else, but just so that I know. That's it. If I know, then everyone else will know.
We were talking about, what inspires you and even you being an inspiration. What is it like whenever someone does come up to you, whether that's at a seminar or at ADCC trials or at some other event, and they tell you, hey, you inspired me, or I saw your this and that, or, your diet. What does that mean to you whenever somebody comes up and shares that info?
It feels like relieving and it feels good, just, but at the end of the day, it's, I'm thinking of, I just wish that person the best if they're really going towards those things, and I hope for them to really find their way so that they are not, finding a way that's unique to their life, that they're satisfied with, that they're gonna be like later on, like, oh man, I was trying to be like this person, but that's not who I am. Because that's happened to me. I'm trying to be like this person because I look up to them, but kids don't look up to adults forever. They grow up and they'll be able to see eye to eye. So as a man, I don't see why I should be looking up to anyone. Unless they're taller than me, then I'm like, what's up? But even then, like, just on a real level, I think it's about finding respect. Like, I respect what you're doing. I appreciate that. That's inspiring. And if I can see that, then I feel like more than one person will be able to see that. That's whether I'm giving that or I'm receiving that. And from both points of views, is just finding a way of life that is satisfying. And at the end of the day, also doing everything for the intention of the benefit of mankind. That's the main thing for me. Like I don't want to. That's why I'm taking my time and I'm calculating moves right, because I don't want to rush. I don't want to do things and just have them here like boom. No, I want to make the right moves. I want to I'm making the right moves so that long term I'll be able to see what I built and be happy with that. And I know the people that are around me and support what I'm doing, they'll be 10 times as happy because they'll be able to see what I've gone through and what I've done with what I had. So that goes into like, just live your life, be you, you know. There's only one. That's something I learned from Rasta, the Rasta spiritual movement. Is I and I. It's not you and me. It's I and I, and even going deeper is I and I, which means like there's a saying about like I'm not competing against anyone. I'm competing against myself. Mm-hmm. That's where I take like I and I. Like I am my biggest fan. I am my biggest motivator. I am my biggest coach. I am I. And that goes towards anyone else. If somebody is, in the journey with me and they want to be next to me, then it's I and I. I'm not gonna be any lighter on you than I would be on myself. And I know that I'm very tough on myself. So that's taken into consideration. We got to wake up. It's time to wake up. We got to wake up. That whether that be 3, 4, 5 a.m., we got to wake up. We're going to go to sleep late tonight. We got to go to sleep late tonight. And we're going to catch up on sleep whenever we get to catch up on sleep. But the sleep is very important as well. But, sometimes nowadays, I'd rather wake up earlier than go to sleep later.
How much sleep do you need? How much sleep do you normally get?
Last night I went to sleep like around 11. I woke up at 5. And then just because I've been flying a lot the past 2 days. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, I'm gonna get another REM cycle and catch up on some sleep. So I really went to sleep like 11, woke up at 5, and then went to sleep again for like a good 2, almost 3 hours. Got the workout in, and we started this podcast. So 5 hours is ideal. Anything more than that is good. I think 5 to 7 hours is the magic number for me. Anything more than 7 is like the battery's overcharging. It's gonna be overheated. I don't like that. It's gonna be groggy.
Yeah. Do you notice that your sleep needs change whenever your diet's different? Does that correlate at all?
Nah, the nutrition, this alkaline nutrition has been helping me to not. I don't have to sleep as much because I don't have so much inflammation. I'm able to recharge my energy a lot quicker because of the food. Meat is very hard to digest.
Right.
And it is mostly like, if you took away all the seasoning, people wouldn't want to eat meat. So just putting that into consideration, I can make a meat replacement out of walnuts or chickpeas or mushrooms. Even you got millions of different mushrooms. Some that taste like chicken, some that taste like lobster, some that taste like oysters. You season those right, you won't even be able to tell the difference. All you're gonna say is like, oh, this one's not from an animal. But all these little details have a lot to do with like the sleep, because what happens when you have a heavy meal? You want to sleep. A heavy meal is like, oh, you got some pasta or you got some bread, and you put some steak in that with some rice or potatoes, one or the other. you're gonna want to. Most people are gonna want to sleep after a meal like that.
Yeah. I think sometimes we eat too late as well. You know, if it's like, hey, I'm going to eat at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I'm trying to go to bed at 11, your body's trying to work and digest at night whenever there's cleansing process, like cleansing your liver and other things your body's designed to do when you sleep, it can't do.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Like a late night snack. The best kind of late night snack would be like some fruit, to be honest,
Hmm.
or at the max, like I really like eating tahini butter, especially when I'm trying to bulk up a little bit, because it's just good like bulking food. Um, so like the heaviest I'll eat at night will be like, well, last night my last meal was that chickpea with tomato soup, and I'm gonna be blunt. I woke up this morning and was sitting in the toilet for nearly an hour. Like I know I pushed everything out that I ate last night. That's also me. I know how my body works, my digestive system. I have a quick digestive system. So that's part of like nutrition and like fueling oneself. You got to know how your body reacts. Like if you know that you eat late, you eat right before you go to sleep, and it's hard to really digest that in the morning, then don't do that. If you're hungry, get some fruit. Get something that you know is gonna satisfy you, but at the same time, your body's gonna be satisfied to push that out and extract the nutrients and the energy needed to continue the next day. Because sometimes, as human beings, we're flawed as human beings, and that's like the whole. I feel like that's one of the main reasons to be on this planet is to like, fix those details up, grow past certain things, so that the next generation is even better than we are, and so on and so on. So like, yeah, take learn, listen to your body, and experiment as well with food.
Hmm.
Don't be scared to like uh try other foods, because it might just make a huge difference in your life, especially as an athlete. As an athlete, it's important to take that in consideration. Everybody that fights martial arts has at some point in their life made a weight cut. And what are the foods that you eat during the weight cut, right? So it's having that balance of like, what are the foods I want to eat when I'm bulking, and how can I get the best? You know, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go back to doing the same mistakes that I did as a blue belt or as a white belt. You, I know that the black belt is just a very experienced white belt, but that's what I mean. I'm not gonna go and disregard the experience that I've learned. So that goes in all fields of life. Whether that be performance, uh, nutrition, or even business. So always learning from the past, be present, do better than I did before, and even what I'm doing now is going to be a lesson for the future.
You,
Yeah,
you know, talking about cooking food and nutrition, I think it would be cool if one day you did just like a little video, like behind the scenes. Hey, this is what I'm making. This is how you do it. Because when you're describing the chickpeas and I can make this taste like A, B, C, and D, I've never experienced that, but that's something I would love to. I just don't have the knowledge. And I mean, I could go research, but just watching someone like you be like, oh, this is how you do it, then it would, inspire me to be able to try it.
yeah, man. That sounds like a good idea. I've been thinking about that. It's just the time to do it, and I guess just doing it. Most of the time I'm cooking, I'm just like, oh, I'm ready to eat. So
Yeah.
I thought about this. This is a good idea. I gotta have just finding that self control to actually record and not eat all the food before it's ready.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
that.
understand. Okay, so outside of training and jujitsu or Muay Thai and everything else, what else are you able to do that you find fun that maybe gives you a little bit of a break?
Man, and surfing. I love surfing. Like I got to surf a couple times in Brazil. Some big waves out there in Recreio and Rio de Janeiro and Recreio. Uh Macumba. Macumba, Praia de Macumba. And Ecuador as well, in Montañita. You know, most of the time I'm in Ecuador, I like to spend my time on the beach because I get to train. You know, I'm surrounded by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't have to shirt. I don't have to wear a shirt most places I go to, and I can be barefoot, and I like that. Um, you know, I can do weights. I can train jujitsu. I can train striking if I have to or if I want to, and surfing. Anything in between that, like I'll just go out there and surf, and it's a beautiful like connection with nature to be able to hop on the wave and just how can I like just be here in the moment. That's the main thing that I found. Jiu-jitsu, we are like meditating and we're but there's like something different in surfing. Surfing is just like you're in the moment. You gotta be chill and wait for the wave. And once you get to learn like a certain level, you just any wave that comes through, you're like, okay, I know I can catch that wave. And boom, boom, boom. You know, and that's like that's what I really love to do outside of training nowadays is like, and that's like another training for me too, because
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, it's the balance, the timing, the patience, and being in the moment. Like I said, is just that connection with nature is so important. Whether that be surfing or mountain biking or hiking, just having that moment with nature where you're connecting. It's like a recharge. It's good for it's good for the spirit. It's good for the body, and it's good for the brain as well, for the mind. It's not good to be like inside all the time or even just like it's part of it's where we live. Nature is the main source of like environment. That's the real environment of this world. What we live in now, like cities, is just like a creation of mankind. And I feel like man is able to create a lot of cool things, but we get just like money might like blind somebody or titles might blind someone. I feel like our creations blind us from the beauty that is around us. So just getting out of our comfort zone and just being out there, uh, I think is really important. And I hope one day we can like start like I said, Montañita. I love Montañita in Ecuador. It's more like a commune than anything else. It's like a town. Like I said, I can walk almost anywhere barefooted and without a shirt, and I'll be taken care of. Like it's all good. I gotta get some food. Just come in, get the food real quick. I gotta buy something. Just go in, buy what you gotta get. Um, yeah, but the beauty of that is that I'm right there in nature. You can see that there's like houses and buildings, like little buildings and everything, but out uh shit you'll be able to see like just wild animals, and
Yeah.
you got the beach right there. Like it's just a different energy. And yeah, I really love surfing, but like I said, I like mountain biking as well, like skating. But I feel like I've really connected more with surfing just because of it. In Montañita, it's like right next to the gym. Like I can train, take the gi off, put my shirts on, and just walk to the beach. Like, literally, not even like 2 minutes. I'm already on the beach. Walk a couple more, like 5-10 minutes, and I'm already at the spot to go surf.
So
That's what I love.
so just a reminder tonight at Next Level 6:30, Roberto Jimenez is going to be teaching it's jiu-jitsu, MMA, doing some training, helping out some of the guys there. So that is open to attend. I think it's $45 I saw. And also you had mentioned the coach there. You said is Coach Alderate?
Tommy Alderate, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
is his son Jay?
That's right. Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet him and get a soundbite at Fight to Win 177 in Houston that took place last year, and I loved everything about him, about his energy and stuff. So I followed him on social media since then. So you mentioned the coach there being an inspiration to you. How was that to interact with his kids?
Man, it's I'm so happy to see all his kids, his girls, his boy, they're all training boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. And that's just, that goes to show that anything, that goes to show that everything that we do with good intention is gonna pay off to be so that the next generation is better than we are. And that's his next generation, like his children are his next generation.
Hmm.
And I grew up with them as well, like, so it's, you know, I'm really happy to see the growth and be able to see like them. And we're all growing in our respective fields: boxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, wrestling. They go hand in hand. So it's really cool to see that, to be honest. It's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. Like I got no words. You put me into like like train of thought for that one. Like it's really cool.
Yeah. That is, and I like watching just Jay as well because I don't know how old he is, but he seems young and he's hooked up in the sport in the game. It's a lifestyle to him, so I'm excited to see where he goes. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
15, and I've seen this boy training since he's like 4 or 5 years old. So to see him 10 years later training and like really committed,
Yeah.
like that's uh that's a fresh breath of air.
Yeah. I seen a clip of his smoker. It looks like he's fighting like grown men and stuff. Just going at it. Just
Yeah,
going at
that's the way to.
it.
Yeah, no fear. That's the warrior way.
Yeah. Okay, so later this week, I think you're going to be going out of town and doing some stuff in Florida. What do you have going on there? And are you going to have time? Is there surf in Florida? I'm not honestly not sure.
Man, I'm I'm sure there's surf in Florida, but this trip is gonna be mainly just I'm training right now. I'm in camp mode right now, so anywhere I go, I'm just training, and that's my main focus right now. Um, so when is the seminar in Rogue? 27th. On the 27th, what is that? A Sunday?
That's a Sunday.
Yeah, on the 27th, Sunday 27th in the Miami area, we'll be teaching my, my homie, one of my best friends from my childhood, Chemo Crown, and myself. We'll be teaching a dual seminar at Rogue Jiu Jitsu. It's in the Miami area. So anyone out there, welcome to come through. And yeah, I'm just gonna be training while we're there. Monday we fly out to Ecuador. And I'm gonna continue my training there up until the 19th of March is when I'm performing again on EUG in Las Vegas. So, I was focused on no gi, and I was training gi for Rio Open. I was in Brazil, but mainly with a focus of fighting the ADCC trials. But I'm really happy I did that Open because it kind of like loosened me up, and I got the bug again to want to fight gi, and the timing is perfect because right now is from here through June is gi season, and then ADCC is uh September 17th. So that's enough time. In my life, the longest camps that I've had in my life, Worlds 2018 was 3 weeks. First time in my life I did 3 weeks of just training.
Yeah.
And then combat jiu-jitsu, I did like right over a month of preparation. So yeah, those are the longest times I've had to like prepare for events outside of this like ADCC trials, which was like a couple months from, just recovering from, certain things that were holding me back from being able to train a lot more. And then just everything only I know what I was going through in my personal life. So I'm really like, I'm really proud. And that's another thing, not letting pride get to one's head. But I am proud of what I was able to accomplish in Brazil, knowing what I was going through in my personal life. And that just made me stronger. I feel like I can take anything and anyone on. Yeah, so right now the main focus is training in the gi, 19th of March is EUG promotions in Las Vegas.
Awesome. Hey, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
Uh, I think we touched on a lot of details of what we could have talked about, but just for anyone out there not sure if if they can make something out of what they love, just believe in it. And once you believe in it, start forming a confidence in knowing that you can. So don't just believe, but get to the point where you know you're going to be able to do that, whatever it is that you're looking to do. And have faith as well, you know. Yeah, have faith in what you're doing. And every day is a day to progress and grow and train and learn and study. So have faith in the actions that you're taking, for the final destination is going to be, satisfying. That's the main goal. Just stick to it. Be you.
Awesome. I love it. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time and joining today. I appreciate you.
Most definitely. Thank you. Have a
This,
good one.
this is Clear Life Combat, KTA Radio.